Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of Raider Sports. I know it's been a while, but I have been on vacation. I was in Oklahoma and for my sister's wedding, so congratulations, Ariel and Will. That's, absolutely fantastic. I had a wonderful time, met a lot of really cool people, and, you know, got to experience a whole new part of the country I've never seen before, so that's been cool. And then ever since I've been back, I've pretty much been working all the time. But a lot of stuff has happened since I've been away. James Madison has become a member of the Sun Belt, Liberty, Jacksonville State, New Mexico State, and Sam Houston have become members of the of Conference USA, which is a sigh of relief because Conference USA being down to like 5 teams would not have been eligible otherwise for uh, tournaments and would not have been able to hold, conference champions and be in the NCAA tournament and stuff like that. So for Conference USA, that's a huge sigh of relief. But one thing that has really struck my mind outside of conference realignment and stuff has been the fact that the coaching carousel has been moved to warp speed and coaches are flying off like that. I mean, they're just getting rid of pretty much anybody who might be underachieving right now. And one serious divorce that has not gone well has been Butch Davis and FIU. When Butch Davis has come out and after he was fired has come out and said that after FIU's AD resigned, it was announced that would not return for 2022, leading Davis to come out and say that the administration had sabotaged FIU's administration has sabotaged the Golden Panthers football program. They posted Davis's job online before he was ever fired. He says that the school has been using old uniforms. They refused to have multi-year offers to assistant coaches, and they would not allow coaches to go out and recruit for the past 2 years. And they wonder why the team right now is 1-9 after being winless last year during the COVID year. And you see this just constantly coming out is that they're having, big time financial issues. I don't know what those might be, but it really does seem like FIU might be heading kind of the way of UAB kind of did, having all their financial issues, just having to stop the program. But after, hearing about what Butch Davis said is actually going on at FIU, you have to believe that these problems might be why FIU was never seriously considered for the conference expansion. Because you would think with FIU would have moved, right along with them if that was the case, and somehow FIU was left out. Now we're kind of getting a behind the scenes, if you will, from Butch Davis about what was going on. The fact that the shoulder pads were secondhand from Mississippi State. The fact that you can't really hire good assistant coaches long term because there's no multi-year offers going in. You can't go out and you haven't been able to recruit for 2 years. And if you don't have good recruits, you're using a bunch of walk-ons, and the team is definitely going to suffer at that point. And so it really is no surprise that the Golden Panthers are struggling the way they did. And after Butch Davis, when he first took over, had led them to 3 bowl game appearances, a 9-win season, which is the most in school history. The Golden Panthers were really looking as one of the up and coming teams for a while there in Conference USA. And then, really after the COVID year, it just all kind of seems to have fallen apart. And there seems to be a lot of infighting, I guess, going on there where they actually put the coach's job online before he was ever fired. You don't need to be Daniel. You don't need Daniel to interpret that writing on the wall. All you have to do is understand that if they're posting my job, I'm out. So what does that do to the rest of the team? What does that do to the morale of the players? Why should they care if this is the stuff going on over at FIU? And now with all this coming out, you got to wonder what their coaching search is going to be like. Who's going to want this job at FIU? It's probably making it the least attractive job, and UMass is on this list. But with the firing of Fuentes from Virginia Tech, that now opens up 12 coaches that have been fired at least this season. You've had Gary Patterson after 22 years at TCU. I think it was a necessary firing because it just seems like the game has passed Gary Patterson up a little bit. I believe that's what it looked like. The team TCU just has not been the TCU we remember, with the strong defenses and the all right offense. The Andy Daltons and the LaDainian Tomlinsons that I remember and growing up. And TCU was a real something to watch. The Horned Frogs were cool. And so for me, not seeing Gary Patterson there is going to be really weird. Because he's a legend over at TCU, but it just feels like the end where Bobby Bowden's time at Florida State just kind of ended, where you knew something was wrong there, and the team wasn't as good as it used to be, and that the game was kind of passing Bowden by. That's how I feel about Gary Patterson over at TCU. I'm sure if he wants to, he'll find another job somewhere, but probably, TCU is ready for prime time because Deion Sanders is supposedly the candidate front running for that job. Akron fired Tom Arth, who went 3-24, so we don't really have to go into why he was fired. Walt Bell at UMass, 2-23, even though it's UMass, not much as expected, but still 2-23. You got to do better than that. Jimmy Lake at Washington, he was fired after the Seattle Times reported Lake shoved a player into a locker in 2019. Other coaches who were fired, just to give you, was Randy Edsall. In his second stint at UConn, it was absolutely terrible. He went 6-32. But UConn has the problem, they don't really invest in the football program. And so Randy Edsall is just trying to piece together anything he could. And it was finally just time to end that and go in a different direction. USC's Clay Helton, after he got blown out by Stanford, was pretty much immediately fired after that at USC. And he has now taken over and will start next season as the coach of Georgia Southern, who fired Chad Lunsford after he started 1-3, despite leading, Georgia Southern to 3 bowl games. Bad start with high expectations kind of offed him. And they hired Clay Helton, who will begin next season as the head coach of the Eagles. LSU fired Ed Orgeron, 2 years after he went to the national championship with Joe Burrows. I mean, losing all that talent, you had to make it up somewhere, and he just couldn't do it. The team's been pretty much a disaster ever since, leading to his firing. Washington State fired Nick Rolovich heinously, in my opinion. This man should not be fired, but I do applaud him for, standing his ground after he publicly chose not to get vaccinated and refusing to comply with the state of Washington's guidelines for state employees. I really do, applaud Rolovich for just standing his ground, knowing what the consequences are, and just taking it like a man right on the chin. Hopefully he gets another job. But who knows if, that's the end of his career, then you really got to admire somebody, standing up for themselves like that, standing up for their values and their beliefs. And I'm just saying, where's the my body, my choice crowd on this one? I'm just saying, not trying to get too political. I'm just saying, show a little consistency. And so, Nick Rolovic, way to go. No matter what, you're not going to get any blowback from me. I'm actually proud of you. And Texas Tech, got rid of Mike Wells after 13 and 17. I guess the idea for Texas Tech was a little, higher than it should be. And he just kind of underperformed, and Texas Tech was like, it's time that we go a different direction. And so there was 12 coaches fired this season, and I'm sure there's going to be more on the way. I don't know why all of these coaches are getting fired before the end of the season, but it seems like they're just trying to get their searches on as quickly as possible for their new head coaches. Like Virginia Tech's at 5-5 right now. We pretty much knew that writing was on the wall. But other coaches I'm looking at is I'm going to come out with a wild one here and say James Franklin. I've been on this for a while now, ever since that 4th and 2 debacle against Ohio State when he used 2 timeouts just to run the ball. I feel like James Franklin, with the fact that he, last year he started 0-5, lost to Indiana. This year, yeah, he beat Auburn, but he's lost to Illinois. He's lost to, a good Iowa team. He's lost to Michigan, Ohio State. If they lose to Michigan State, would a 7-5 season really make for a Happy Valley? I don't know. And so maybe he finds himself going to Southern California sooner rather than later. Maybe he doesn't actually have to quit his job at Penn State to go. That's one I've been looking at, and I'm sure there's going to be a couple other coaches who get fired along the way. That's just my one big one that I would not be surprised that everybody would be like, oh my God, everybody would be shocked at. I wouldn't, because James Franklin has not been able to take Penn State to that next level to be a premier, playoff caliber team. And that, I think, is what the bar should be over at Penn State, because they are too good. They get too much talent not to be at least competitive for that Big Ten West East spot. Excuse me. So, guys, what do you think? I'm really just, at a loss now, but do you guys think that FIU job is going to be filled by somebody, who really wants it, or is that just now the job that they're just going to take because you need a job, or some high school coaches just continually get promoted to it and then go on to better things sooner rather than later? Because if I'm a coach right now, after reading all of this, that Butch Davis, a great head coach at Miami, a good head coach at North Carolina, a good head coach in FIU, is saying, why do I want to deal with that? Just saying. All right, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'm Ken Rader, and I'm signing out.